This is the story of a relatively experienced YouTuber stroke motorcyclist who clearly still has a thing or two to learn. A couple of years ago, when it came time to replace my aging Shoei Neotec modular helmet, I thought I'd be clever and save a bit of money by going with a more affordable brand. My attention was drawn to this Italian-made Nolan N100. Like my faithful Neotec, it was round and white, had a flip up front, a bit of ventilation, padding inside, decent reviews, and best of all, was less than half the price of a Neotec 2 at the time. So, buoyed up with optimism, I ordered one. And when it arrived, initial impressions were promising. Fit and finish were good, it fitted my head, or so I thought, and the flip-up mechanism seemed robust enough. But then I began riding with it, and nagging doubts started to turn into the realization that basically I'd wasted my money. I persisted, of course, out of pride, but the faults that I hadn't even considered with my Neotec 1 were definitely there and weren't about to go away on their own. The biggest problem was that the Nolan was just uncomfortable. There was a major pressure point right across the top of my forehead, which left a red mark when I took the helmet off. I tried massaging the hard inner liner, pushing it in with my thumbs, but to no avail. It was hard, it wasn't moving, and it was intent on crushing my head. Now granted, if we had a decent motorcycle shop here in Portugal, I wouldn't have to order sight unseen online, and I would have caught the fault in the fitting room, but we don't, so I didn't. Next disappointment was the main visor. The first indent opens the visor too much, maybe 15mm or so, meaning that you can't ride with just a tiny gap open to increase ventilation. Then there was the chin bar opening mechanism. On the Neotec, it's a one finger to open job. On this Nolan, you need to pinch the clasp with 2 fingers before the bar will open. Finally, the sun visor and the most unergonomic closing and opening mechanism I've ever come across. On the Neotec, you slide a button on the left of the helmet up or down, or just push the visor itself up with your fingers. On this Nolan, you use the slide to drop the visor, but can then only raise it by pushing a separate button, which I could never find with my gloves on. You can't simply slide it open using the same slider you used to drop it, nor can you push the visor itself with your fingers. Over-engineered and annoying. No surprises then, I ended up binning the Nolan, figuratively speaking, and shelling out for this new Shoei Neotec 3. Being a new helmet, it's ECE 2206 compliant, and I'm not going to go into all the technical details here, but in a nutshell, this new standard means helmets have to show adequate protection over 12 impact zones as opposed to just 6 previously. They're safer, at least until Ryan F9 tells us otherwise. It's certainly bulkier than my older Shoeis, a J. Cruise open face and a GTR full face, both of which are about 5 years old. It sits slightly lower and wider, though it doesn't feel significantly larger when you're actually wearing it. What I did immediately notice was the incredible comfort and perfect skull hugging fit compared to the Nolan's skull squashing. Maybe it's just that I've got a Shoei shaped head, but it instantly feels right. No wearing in required. It feels like a pair of old slippers right out of the box. The quality's there too, with stainless steel components in the hinges, a visor that clicks reassuringly and expensively as you open and close it, a chin bar that operates easily with a single hand gesture, and the overall quietness even at motorway speeds. It's all in the detail really. Further improvements over versions 1 and 2 of the Neotec include a larger, easier to open chin bar latch, wider field of vision, deeper sun visor, and a lockable main visor. And look how they've cleaned up the area around the side and reduced the shut line to improve aerodynamics and reduce wind noise. As with the Neotec 2, there's also the option of adding a dedicated center intercom, although frustratingly, if you've already got the SRL2 for your Neotec 2, the new SRL3 isn't compatible with the new Neotec 3 helmet. Now, much of the above could apply to Arai helmets too, probably. I've heard they're excellent, perhaps better than Shoei. They're certainly even more expensive, but I don't have any personal experience of them for one simple reason. In adamantly refusing to even consider integrating a drop-down sun visor, I think Arai has taken the safety issue just one step too far. Here in light and bright southern Portugal, I'm constantly flipping my sun shield up and down and simply couldn't be doing with the hassle of sunglasses. I've looked into getting photochromic visors like the Transitions range from Shoei, but not only are these very expensive, they also don't lighten and darken as much as clear and traditional tinted visors, and from what I've seen in videos posted by users, the photochromic effect only lasts a couple of years before you need to buy a new one. Anyway, what I'm trying to convey in this video is the importance, in my humble opinion, of shelling out a bit more than you might like on a decent helmet. Yes, Shoei's and Arai's are very, very expensive, although if you shop around a bit online you can occasionally find a bargain. I didn't pay anything like €885 for my Neotec 3, but even more so than with other riding gear, I think it really is worth going premium with the helmet. It's tempting to go for the bargain like I did stupidly. I mean, they look almost identical, they're both white and they're both round, but the Nolan is 3.5 times cheaper. But what price, comfort and safety? The Nolan I bought was so uncomfortable that I used to leave it on the shelf, literally in the garage, in favour of the much less protective J-Cruise open face that I'd originally bought for my scooter. Not good. In the words of the 19th century English philosopher John Ruskin, it is unwise to pay too much, but it is worse to pay too little. Or, as we might paraphrase today, buy cheap, buy twice. I should say that I've always bought all my helmets with my own money. I don't have any particular affiliation with Shoei as a company. I've just learnt from experience that it's worth paying the extra for the helmets they make. Like all of you, I imagine, I've bought gloves, boots, jackets and jeans and been mostly happy with what I got. There doesn't seem to be, at least on the outside, the sort of disparities in jeans and gloves that you get with helmets. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you've had bad buy cheap, buy twice experiences. Anyway, that's all for today. As always, thanks for watching.